We're going to go ahead and get started. Good evening. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend the Highland Meadows Phase 1 improvements tonight. I didn't order the weather, so don't shoot the messenger here. But I know, again, I appreciate everybody being here with the weather the way it is. Tonight, the presentation that we have is going to just detail the project. I know this has been a long time coming. There's a lot of familiar faces that I recognize that I've dealt with in the past when I was city engineer back in 2004 to 2009. And so this is a long time coming, so hopefully this is going to be a festive meeting and a positive meeting. But we do want to set the expectations with construction. You probably see what's going on at Dow Rock Estates across the street. So we like to have these meetings just to let you know what's going on. Just know, too, that we've got a sign-up sheet in the back. Please sign up on that sheet so that we can have, if we have any future correspondence, we can have your information and send it out that way through email. And also for those that like to take notes, we will have this, take as many notes as you'd like, but we're going to have this posted on our website on our Public Works page so that people that couldn't attend can go back and review the slides as well, and they can call us if they have any questions. Real quick for introductions, my name is Sean Poe. I'm the Director of Public Works at the city. I've been the Public Works Director since November of 16. Gary Inna is our Assistant Director of Public Works, and unfortunately his daughter's ill and he couldn't make it tonight. But with city staff, I have Mohammed Howlatter here. He's a graduate engineer. He's been working on the project, along with the city inspector, an engineering assistant, John Masad. So you'll see John's face probably more than you'll see mine or Muhammad out on site, because he will be out there working day to day with the contractor. Also tonight, we have with the engineer that designed the project, Katie Barron and Barry Evans here on the front row. They're going to help us with any questions that we can't answer. And also, we wanted to make sure that we have the contractor here so that you can put a name with the face and show that the contractor is a partner with us. A lot of times there's with construction, you know, the city and the contractors tend to have an adversarial relationship. Well, here in Rowlett, we like to make sure it's in a partnership, because they're here to do a job and do it correctly. We want to make sure that the contractor's here so you can put a name with the face. So we have Ian Gerber here with Tricon Services. They're based here in Rowlett, so they're a local company. So we're glad to have them. The primary purpose of this project tonight is communication. Communication is very important. It takes away any surprises that you may experience, and it just helps get the word out, so that construction is very painful. So we want to try to ease the pain as much as possible, and that goes with communication. We take it very seriously. We found that these stakeholder meetings are very productive. And with Facebook and social media and other things out there, just to let you know too, this is being televised live on Facebook Live right now as we speak. And we'll also recording it for RTN 16, so the people that can't maintain or get here tonight, they can watch it on RTN 16. I just found that out tonight, so I'm a little nervous, to be honest with you, but hopefully it doesn't show. But we'll go over some of the highlights with the meeting, talk about some of the existing conditions while we're doing the project, what to expect during construction, give a little bit about the scope, and then we'll have questions afterwards. So if you could hold your questions till the end, and we'll address those in a generalized manner. And if you want any, after the meeting, after the presentation, we have the construction plans here, and we can roll them out, and you can see exactly specifically where your lot is and if you have any detailed questions. And we'll break out with the engineers and staff to get that done as efficiently, effectively. So the existing conditions, I mean, it goes without saying, people have lived in this subdivision. The pavement out there is, believe it or not, it's almost 40 years old. This project was constructed about 1979, 78 timeframe for those that have lived there or have owned property there that long. So it's definitely reached its useful life. The sanitary sewer system that's in place has reached its life as well, and then the poor storm drainage. When the standards were in place, you can imagine There's an aerial next door. In 1979, it was nothing but farm fields, except with the there was maybe a few subdivisions along the lake, Point Royal Estates. I think this was one of them that was starting to pick up Dow Rock Estates, and then Kenwood Estates. Other than that, it was open land with the downtown area. So you can imagine when the developers came in, the standards that we had at that time were not the standards that we have for construction today. So some of that is some of the reasons why we're here where we're at is because the drainage that was put in was not up to our standards today. And anytime you don't have really good positive drainage, you have that's usually when it starts a vicious cycle and the pavement begins to fail. So as far as the proposed improvements, we're going to remove and replace all the concrete streets with concrete streets. They'll remain the same width that they currently are today. Most of those are 27 foot wide, with the exception of, I'm getting this confused with Dow Rock Estates, but all of them are 27 foot wide. We're going to replace the storm drainage, add additional curb inlets to collect the water sooner so that it gets it off the road. We're going to replace the sanitary sewer line, and there's some water services that we'll have to replace that run across the street. Excuse me too, I've been battling a little cold. And then all the sidewalks, they're currently 3 and 4 foot wide, they're going to be replaced with 5 foot wide sidewalks. We're going to add new street lights on decorative poles and fixtures that match similar to what we have in downtown. And in the areas where the trees are going to be removed, we're going to be planting new trees in their place. When this subdivision was built, they put a lot of the gateway or the entry points to the subdivision to market the property. The builders put the trees right behind the curb, and they looked okay back in the day, 40 years ago, when the trees were probably 3 or 4 inches wide. But now you can see they've grown and they've contributed to some of the problems we have with the pavement. This is just an engineering section of the street. Excuse me. That if you basically take a saw and cut it through the street, this gives you a little indication of what we're going to do as far as the street section. We're going to replace the streets. Currently, they're anywhere from 5 to 6 inches, and in some places we found where they're 4 inches, where the contractor didn't do complete the job like they should have. We're going to replace it with 8-inch paving. We're going to have so that provides a 13-foot wide lane in each direction. We're going to restabilize and rework the subgrade that supports the pavement to make it stronger, give it more strength, so that the subgrade that holds the pavement will support the pavement better and give it a longer life. And that's some of the upgrades that we do in some of our construction details. And again, I talked about the 5-foot walk on either side of the roadway. This is a map showing the limits of the project. As you can see, it's the streets in red. This is part of the 2015 bond project. Because of the size and scope of all the streets that we have, that the city has that needs to be reconstructed, we can only do, we've got limited resources. So we broke this up into 2 phases, with phase 1 being in 2015, with the goal of putting it in, with the goal of phase 2 being in 2018. And I'll get more of that detail here in a little bit. These are the limits of the sanitary sewer that will be replaced before the roadway work begins. And as I alluded to previously, the lines in yellow are phase 2, and the lines in red are the phase 1. We're currently going through a process with the city council to identify projects for the 2018 bond election. And the board that recommended the projects looked at the second phase of this project, as well as Dow Rock Estates and South Ridge and Lake Country, the subdivision right behind us. And they've deemed those projects priority for the next bond election to fund. So I say that because if council decides to call a bond election, which we'll know probably within the next couple of weeks, I'd encourage you to get out and vote one way or the other for the phase 2 project when the election comes in May of this year. As far as the schedule is concerned, this is going to be broken out in several areas. The contractor does plan to begin to work on next week with just basically coming out on site and assessing it, setting up some erosion control, looking at and basically mobilizing without not doing really specific work until later in the week or the following week. They're going to start with Vargas and Vernon and finish that up in around October time frame. And then they'll start in Miami and finish that up in October as well and do their final cleanup and get done by November of this year is the plan. Now again, these are preliminary and subject to change based on the weather that we get between here and there. But that's why communication is imperative, because if we run into some unforeseen delays like we did on Primrose Lane, just off Rowlett Road, we had an underground fiber line that was not as low as the plan showed it. We want to be able to communicate that with you. And before we leave tonight, I'd like to see if there's anybody, and you can come up, talk to me afterwards, but we've set up Facebook pages on other projects. So if there's anybody willing to set that page up and monitor it and be the administrator of it, we don't really have the staff to do it on our end, but if you're interested in doing that and have some time to do that, we'll coordinate through you, and then the members of the subdivision can like that page, and any updates that we get as far as schedule or switching of traffic or anything like that, we can post on Facebook and you get it right away. So after my presentation, if you come up and talk to me, or if and we can set that up. We'd really appreciate it if somebody can help us. We found that very useful in some of our other projects. Some of the construction issues that we're going to have deal with the mail and delivery. Obviously, the contractor will do one half of the roadway at a time. So the part of the road that's going to be under construction that's going to be removed, we're going to have to set up temporary mailboxes. On other subdivisions, we've set up temporary locations for all of them because the postal office, they can't get out of their truck because it's a rural route. So we have to find a strategic location. And this map that we're showing here are tentative. We're still working with the postmaster, but we'll be sure to notify everybody where those temporary mailbox locations will be. Your trash pickup shouldn't be any change unless we have some changes in the circulation. But since you have alleys for the people that have alleys, people that don't have alleys, which I think are not that many. I think everybody has an alley. So that's not really an issue. So the trash service shouldn't be interrupted. Some of the other construction issues is we're going to have one-way traffic, because when we take that half of the pavement out, it only has one lane that we can travel down for a car. You're not going to be able to park on the street, unfortunately, because we've got to have room for people to go. And we've got to keep that access for emergency purposes as well, in case somebody needs to call the ambulance or for fire or police. There's going to be some temporary water and service disruptions as we lay the new service lines for the water. And sewers shouldn't be disrupted too much. We'll let you know if we have some problems, but usually we can work around that fairly easily without disrupting your service. It's mainly the water. We're going to need, the crews are going to need temporary access to the property to regrade some of from the back of curb and the sidewalk to your front yard. There's 11 feet from your property line to the back of curb that it's city right of way that the city owns and although you maintain it. So they're going to have to get in that area and may possibly have to get on your yard a little bit to grade, and we'll get a right of entry for that. After all the paving is done and the work is complete, they're going to go back and sod the disturbed areas with the grass that matches the grass that you have in your yard. If it's like my yard, which has both St. Augustine and Bermuda, we're going to ask you which one you want, because sometimes that St. Augustine takes over some of the Bermuda. So we'll get that. That'll be some of the issues that Mr. Masai will be working with you. And see, the last bullet point is, as far as construction continues, as I mentioned before, with the Facebook page, and we'll also be sending out notices as they present themselves when we're switching traffic and stuff. Glad we're getting to the end, because I'm just about out of voice here, but bus stops are, with the Rockwall ISD are definitely could be affected as well. We're working with Rockwall ISD now to determine where those locations are going to be changed if they're going to be affected. So we'll have additional information with that. If you know of anybody with special needs or considerations, we've ran into this in other neighborhoods, feel free to let us know so we can reach out to them if they're not here tonight, or if we haven't had a contact, so that we can provide any additional service to them as needed. As mentioned before, this project includes new trees where some of the other ones will be taken out. We've budgeted 2 trees per lot. Some people may not want a tree. That's okay. We're going to get your permission to plant that. They're going to plant the tree on the property line, which is going to be right behind, probably 3 to 4 feet behind the sidewalk. And the contractor will plant 1 to 2 trees with the species of your choice. And we've got pictures of what those trees look like. But they'll be 2 to 4 inch caliper trees. And then the contractor will water those while he's on site and mobilized. Once he leaves, the watering will be the responsibility of the property owner. But this is a Chinese pistache tree that grows, and you can see it turns colors in the fall. I've got one in my yard. They grow very fast and very hardy. This is in your standard live oak, Texas live oak, which is evergreen throughout the year. And then they also have the cedar elm, which drops its leaves and turns colors in the fall. It's a nice hardy tree for this region. And then the last thing to talk about before we get into some of our contacts is the decorative street lights. They're going to be replaced. The street lights that are out there are going to be replaced at the intersections and mid-block. They'll be installed on the property line so that one property owner doesn't have to have the light in front of their house. And it's going to be the decorative street lighting, as you can see, that matches what we have here in downtown to give it a little bit more aesthetic appeal. These are our contacts, contact information for John. Again, you'll see John out there more than most. We've got an after-hours dispatch that if something happens afterwards, you can call and they can get a hold of the person on call that we have. Or if John's here, we can get him, and then obviously we've got the emergency contact. Did I miss anything? Okay. What we'll do now is open up for questions. If they're general questions, if they're more specific, then we can meet afterwards, and we can roll out the plans and we can show the plans detailed. We have a lease with the microphone, so that way we can pick up the question on the live Facebook. So any questions?
How big is the sidewalk right now?
It's anywhere between 3 and 4 feet, mostly 4 feet.
So where is it going to be widened? Are you going to go up into our yard, that we have, or are you going to go towards the?
No, ma'am. We'll stay within the 11-foot parkway. Some of the areas we have the sidewalks closer to the curb because of the way the grading is, but the widening will stay within the right-of-way that's there now.
So it won't go up, like 6 inches into the yard, like supposedly you own 6 inches of my yard or something?
Well, there's 11 feet from your property line to the back of curb, and all that's city property. Typically, a sidewalk is installed 1 foot off the property line, and that's where it is now, out there now. So your question is whether are we going closer within that foot?
My yard. You're not going to go into my yard. It's going to go further to the street. Okay.
That's correct.
Thank you.
This gentleman.
First of all, my hearing aid, I have difficult hearing when you're vibrating.
Okay.
How much wider is the street going to be than it is now?
The street will remain the same width.
It'll be the same width?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We've
it was going to be a foot wider on that side.
well, we've done these subdivision improvements before where we went to a wider, what our current standard is. We found that it just creates more issues and more problems because of the grades. Everything is set out there, and it's really hard to go back and widen it and to still be economical. and give that value that we're looking for. So we're going back with the same, what you see out there, it's going to be the same width.
Will the distance between the street lights be the same, or will it be a bit closer? Because it's rather dim between the lights as it is now.
Right.
It'll be, I'm gonna grab that from you. It's gonna be roughly this,
It's okay. It's just, it's speaking in the,
okay. I was like, this is, I'm gonna play trombone with it. They'll be the same, but you will see a definite difference because the trees that are currently blocking the light will not be on the street side, they'll be behind it. So, I know in some cases that it's very dark in a couple of places, but you should see a marked difference with that. They're going back in the same place. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Will the mail resume the position it was before, or will the distribution, is it going to be determined?
his question was whether the mail is going to be the same before or after the same as it was before we start construction. And the contractor is going to do his best to save the mailboxes that are there, but they're going to put the mailboxes back where they're at. Now, if you have a brick mailbox or a specialized mailbox, they're going to do their best to salvage it. But in some cases, if they can't, they're going to do the best. They're going to try to match it as best they can if it's brick. We can't find the same brick that you have now, but they'll do the best they can match it. But a lot of times they've got techniques that they can salvage what's out there.
Okay, thank you very much.
I forgot what I was going to ask.
Okay, I can come back.
Okay.
Sean,
Questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
Could you tell us about how deep the sewers are so people would understand a little bit about how much you're going to be digging and what the depth is that you're going to?
Right. The sewers through there, I don't know the direct answer, but I can tell you that some of them are 10 to 12 foot deep. So they're going to have to relay those sewer lines, but they range anywhere from 5 foot to 12 foot deep in that area. And that's the first thing they'll do is the utilities.
Thank you. Can you explain again where the lights would be in regards to Vernon from Del Rock to the end of, from Del Rock down Vernon to the end of the street?
They're basically going to be where they currently are located at the intersections. And if there's any of them that are mid-block, those will be replaced. But we're not going to add any additional lights that are currently not out there.
Okay, thank you.
I live on Vernon. I don't think there's any lights on Vernon, so it's dark down through there.
Yeah, well, there might be one at the intersection, but there may not be nothing beyond the street itself. The plan is not at this point to add any. Most of the lights that for like security purposes need to come from the house and project out rather than from the street and project in. So we didn't have the budget to add street lights all the way throughout the project.
There is one mid-block, sir. So it's on the north side of the street.
It may not be working. That's probably why.
Yeah, there is one about mid-block. It's on the north side of the street. Well, if it's not working now, we have one shown proposed on these plans. So I was trying to find where the existing light is, but there's one there. It's about halfway down the block.
No, just simply in your brochure, you talk about traffic patterns.
Yes.
You can address that.
Well, the traffic control plan will be developed after today. And once we know what the flow is going to be, the contractor will submit a traffic control plan for review. And once we know what it is, we want to make sure we have the less disruptions as possible. Once we have that information, we will send notices out to the residents on how the traffic control is going to be set up.
One last question.
Yes, sir.
You start Miami 3 months after you start Vernon, but they come together at the same time.
Yeah, because it's just the way the construction works out.
Do you want me to take that one?
Yeah, go ahead.
The storm drain that we're adding to this project actually starts on the downhill end of August, so it's going to come up, and they've got to start on that downhill end. So, water runs downstream, so you got to start downstream and work back up. So that one was added first, so we could get that pipe in there and then work up. And so then once that's kind of how the construction's scheduling kind of happens, since that's a little bit longer stretch. That's the main reason they're starting on Vegas, so.
Thank you. We live on Fairmont. We're not in the area that's going to get this particular set of construction. However, the back of us is the drainage between Scenic and Fairmont, Millwood, is that creek. And there is a lot of erosion going on in that creek. I've got pictures from 10 years ago, and we now have a sinkhole back there that's like 20 by 15 feet and roughly 10, 15 feet deep.
Okay.
That was never there. So I know that we have a drainage that goes at the end of the property, or the very south end of our
Right.
property. And that has been defunct ever since we've been there. I mean, it's caved in, we've had a lot of the people, zoning people, driving through the yard and looking at all that, and I just wondered if there is a plan to address that drainage, because it's all coming to all those houses, and
Sure.
we're losing a lot of dirt.
To tag on to that, what the issue is, since they built that new neighborhood where there was a dead end at Fairmont and it was just a old farm there or something, they built that new
Right.
neighborhood. Ever since they built that new neighborhood, it's creating
They put a bridge
it's
over
creating
that.
backflow problems on the creek that is taking drastic amounts of soil away
Okay.
from our house.
We lost 4 feet of dirt width-wise into
Right.
that hole the last time it rained, and we had white water coming through there that was 4 to 5 feet high. And
Okay.
it was, any
Well-
kid that gets, or dog or anything that gets in there, they're
Right, well, I appreciate those comments. Obviously, it's not part of the scope of this project, but it's something that I definitely want to get your contact information so we can come out and take a look at it. We've got a drainage crew that maintains the creeks and drainage ways that are within an easement. And it's also maybe it could be a candidate for a future drainage project, so I appreciate that information. Any other questions before we, oh, you got one here?
All right. Talking about school buses, they might be rerouted or anything like that, but I have a kid with special needs, and so the bus stops in front of our house.
Right.
Would the bus be able to still stop it since one lane will be open? Is that going to be a problem?
If you're on the side of the street that, I know in one project that we're doing across the street at Dow Rock, the bus is actually picking them up in the alley whenever that side of the street
Okay.
is missing.
Okay.
And then they also put some temporary gravel to help if they had to go out the front.
Okay.
So we'll make provisions for you. I want to get your contact information so we know what address you are.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, I
Thanks.
believe we already have your information.
Okay.
One person only, right?
I've already talked to the school district, and
Okay.
I am working directly with the route supervisor, and they've already gave me your address.
Okay,
So-
great.
So we're already aware of this.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
My sidewalk has got one of those things, those units from the water thing. I don't know if it's a turn off or shut off thing.
It's a water meter probably?
No, the water meter's little, right down, where they can read it down. It's in the front. But this is on my sidewalk, and it has bulged up. So the sidewalk is like this.
Okay.
So hopefully they'll be fixed.
Oh, yes. Yes, it'll be
Or are
brand
they
new
going to
sidewalks.
continue to put those on the sidewalk?
Right.
So,
Now, the scope will be all brand new sidewalks. Yeah, if you can imagine, we finished Kenwood Heights in 2009, I believe, and we're just about to finish Primrose Lane up just north of Rowlett Road, just south of Hickox. So go by there and go through there and drive it, and you'll see it'll give you an idea of what it'll look like. It's just totally different, day and night.
Where'd you say, Kenwood?
Kenwood Heights, up here off Carla, and then Primrose was just recently completed. Well, they're wrapping it up.
Or the same contractor for each one?
No, they're different contractors.
What about the trash pickup? Wherever they go?
The trash pickup will remain from the alley, so there shouldn't be any interruption. If there is, we'll let everybody know in advance. Sorry, come on in the back.
I'm jumping up the road, but I'm on Fairmont Drive.
Right.
So when are y'all gonna get to us?
Fairmont, I believe, is part of Phase 2. Is that correct?
I didn't see it on Phase 2.
Let me see here.
Yeah, we're right where Vernon. I'm right where Vernon deads into my house, or Vargas deads into my
Yeah,
house.
that's a part of another subdivision. It's going to be considered. It has to be considered in a future bond election. Again, that's part of the process we have. We've got probably. We've got many streets that are need reconstruction.
I've been going through this for about 5 years now.
Right.
I've complained all the way up to the mayor. You know, I've heard the same story.
Yeah.
I've heard the same story. We don't have the money.
Right. Well,
It's frustrating for us.
Sure.
I mean, I'm glad you're finally getting started, but it's really frustrating to not even see that we're even on a bond project.
Yeah, this project, I know I began working on it when I was city engineer back in 2006, and this is 11 years later. It's a difficult situation whenever you've got that many projects that needs to be done with the resources that we have. There's a map right now that you can see on our website that shows the rating of every street, and so we'll just have to go back there and see how that fits within the rankings of the other ones where we have needs as well, to try to see when that's going to fit within the plan. We're talking to council now that we're going to have to just to catch up and to get things roll in the right direction and spend about $10 million a year for the next 10 years just to get to where we need to be. So and that's just getting it to where we can maintain it with a certain amount of budgeted amounts each year. So we'll look at that and see where it fits within the ranking, and we'll just have to go from there. It's part of the process. But I understand your frustration.
So that way on Vargas is kind of way too, right? So it's just this little, it's just this.
Yeah, I've got the map up here.
Vernon, and then you go left.
The map is up on here. The lines in red is what the project of this scope is going to be. The lines in yellow, they're designed. The engineering firm that did this project designed it. So the goal is if the bond election is successful in 2018 in May, since it's designed already, we can just go straight to bid, and it'll be sort of seamless. This project will be wrapping up, and we can go into phase 2.
Because I have 2 kids living with me with 2 extra cars, so they can actually park that way on Vargas, probably.
Okay.
You know,
Probably so.
That's a problem there, 4 cars. And so anyway, that way it'd be okay for them to park on the street.
Yeah, and then the third part. You can park on the areas that we're not disturbing.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Yeah, we got one more.
How much longer is it going to be for the water lines to be in?
They are going to wrap up probably within the next week or so. Yeah, we have the boring machine that we were using to pipe burst it so that we didn't have to, it's a trenchless technology, so we didn't have to dig things up. It malfunctioned, so we're going to have to do the rest of it open cut.
Okay, because I'm on the circle at Miami, and they started at one end, and then they went to, and were on my circle, then went
Right.
on to the other end.
Yeah, we had a water leak on that end, so we wanted to get we stopped where we were at that one location and went back up where we had a water leak. So that should be wrapping up because we want it, that's, the city staff is doing that. Our crews are doing those in-house. And obviously we want to be out of the way before the contractor gets in there.
I know we're talking about streets mainly, but is there any talk on improving the alleyways? The entrance and exits to the alleys.
The city currently has an alley pavement management program. And again, it's another need. If you can imagine all the alleys that we have, we've got probably 105 miles of alleys. Half of them need to be reconstructed. And that's a large task. We cost estimated it, and to get those, that 50 miles of alleys, it's roughly around 63 to $70 million. And this next bond program is $60 million they're looking at a minimum. So if they put all that money into alleys, then everything else would suffer. So it's a huge undertaking. We do probably about $3 to $4 million a year we try to get done with the bond election that was just done. This next bond election, the board that recommended projects recommended $7 million, which is a lot of money. That's about 10% of the need. Council may lower that. They may raise it depending on the other discussions they have in the upcoming weeks. But it too, we rank every alley, and if you, we can look and see where it's ranked and give you an idea of when it can be, it fits within the program. You know, how many years you're talking about.
Well, and to tag on to that, the approaches on each street up there, the turn-in for the alley will be replaced back to kind of where the property line
Okay, because we have
starts.
just a massive puddle of water that sits
Right.
at the end of the alleyway.
Yeah, I appreciate.
I know some of them have recently been reconstructed, and those are in pretty good shape, and there's a couple that aren't. We're replacing the turnouts. Some of the radiuses are all broken, so we're fixing all of that. If the alley falls in the red, you will have a new turnout.
Yeah, we're right there at the turn on Vegas.
Yeah, all the approaches will be repaved. So.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I had a
Bottom out.
incident right then.
We have rebar that sticks up all the time right here.
Yeah.
Well, one of the problems that I think will be fixed with this, and why we're rerouting the drainage. Actually, that alley behind Vargas on that side, there's an old drainage. The pipe actually comes from Miami, from the circle on that side, and it cuts through people's houses, and then it goes down Fairmont Circle down that way. It cuts down through, and so it's actually, the pipe has had some structural issues on it in that alley that you're talking about, and it's created all of these pavement problems too. That will help be alleviated. We're not repaving the alley, but the drainage issue should be taken care of. So, okay. You have one more back behind you.
Since you brought it up. Where that alley comes in down there is at the edge of our property, where it dead ends at Fairmont, and that's where that drainage is. And there's also, they had to come in about 5 years ago and put a dump truck full of gravel. And it's a horrible spot there right in front of, because all those streets drain into our property, the three alleys, and one of the alleys drains right to our house, right into our alley, into our driveway. And so it's a tremendous amount of water.
Well, one of the goals of this project was also to remove the water off of the street and get it in pipes. We're adding inlets throughout the streets. The pipes are going to be bigger, so they'll carry more water. So we're hoping you won't see that flooded street like you did before, and all the water on the downstream end will also be alleviated as well.
Well, in that area right there where that alley
Yeah,
dumps out, it's just a big gravel pit.
Right at the end of that map, right? Yep. Yeah, it's a little far outside of our project limits, but it's.
Yeah, again, we'll take a look at that. Again, you're outside the project scope, but we'll see if there's something we can do temporarily to sort of bridge the gap. Yes, sir.
I wonder if you might give us an idea of the sequence of events when this construction begins, what will occur. And secondly, I want to say thank you to you and your crew for having us tonight and answering our questions so thoroughly.
Well, thank you for that. His question was about what the sequence of events, and Ian, you may want to help me out here, but typically what they do in this type of construction is they're going to be removing the stuff that they need to be removing in the first phase to get it out of the way. And then they'll start with the utility work. They'll do the sanitary sewer. Depending on how many crews they can get in there, sometimes they can do the sanitary sewer and the storm drain at the same time. It just depends on their workload. We can't really dictate their means and methods. We just give them a scope, what they have to do, and they have to fit within our constraints as far as keeping access and communicating with us on any switches and things. So it's going to be a lot on the contractor, but typically what they do is the utilities first, and then they come back behind it and do the paving. Any difference?
No,
Like you said, Sean, we're gonna try to start on the low end of the utilities, which are at Vegas and Fairmont, and head west. Try to finish that general area sooner. And then as we head west, we're gonna start on Miami, also on the sanitary sewer. The dates on there said October, but we're gonna try to step on the gas and maybe finish late summer, hopefully, you know, weather permitting.
And the other thing we do at the city that we've done that's sort of a little different what most cities do, in our public works contracts, we've got liquidated damages if the contractor doesn't finish on time, and we've got set calendar days. And we work with the contractor, again, it's a partnership. If there's this abnormal weather, we work with them on extending days. But we looked at it, again, from a partnership level. We actually have an incentive clause if they finish early, because we want the contractor to get in and out. So if they finish early, there's a bonus that they can earn that's included in the contract. And I think that's what Ian is,
That's what Ian is
all
looking
happy about. That funds their Christmas party at the end of the year, so.
Sean,
Yes.
could you just say a little bit about how weather does impact construction? Is there, how much of a delay, if we have a rainstorm, how much of a delay does that really mean?
It depends on what stage of the project, and where they're at, and what stage of the project they're in. It depends on how big the event is and how long it is. But the contract is set up with calendar days, and it takes into account a certain amount of inclement weather. So if it's just an average year and they go over, then we'll be assessing LDs or liquidated damages. But after a rain, you probably won't see anybody in during the rain. And it may be, they have to let it dry out because they don't want to create more of a mess with the muck and the clay soils and the fatty clays that we have here now. So you may see them not working for a day or two after a rain event. But these guys are good. They've done a lot of projects for us. Again, they're based in Rowlett, so they've got they don't have to travel very far. So and this is their home. So we're looking forward to working with them.
What's your estimated time of when concrete will be busted? Or in other words, when the streets will be started to be closed?
The first thing coming out is the sidewalk over, the sidewalk over there by Vargas on the very east side, on the south side of the road. That's the first thing you're gonna see. I'm sorry?
That won't close any streets.
Potentially it'll close that eastbound side. You know, it'll be a little tight there, but we'll still be able to get traffic through there. And then soon after, we're gonna work on the storm, which is also at that intersection, and that will shut down the north side of the road, which is the westbound road.
The sanitary sewer line is in the sidewalk, which is why that's going to be, it's actually not in the sidewalk, it's underneath the sidewalk, but it doesn't run in the street, it runs behind the curb, so.
Yeah, the demolition is the easy part. Yeah, it changes things.
So the road demolition would start, golly, I'd say 3-4 weeks out.
So, yeah. So again, we like to have these things in case you're planning an event or to give you time to schedule it elsewhere. Yeah, yes, sir.
Who's going to be doing the compaction testing, and are you going to do moisture level test?
Absolutely. That's the other thing that our standards require is we do have, and what he's referring to is the compaction of the ditches. As they fill the ditches back in, they have to compact it and test it to make sure that it's compacted properly so that it doesn't settle out and then create a void under the pavement, which is what you're seeing a lot of out there, where some of the utilities are deeper. The soil over the pipe is consolidated, and at the top of it creates a gap under the pavement, so there's no support, and then the pavement fails. So yeah, we have a testing lab that will be doing that, and they'll be on site daily.
Are they going to be out with the radiation testers and stuff?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they've got a nuclear test gauge that they use to test the compaction of the soil. Sounds like we have somebody that's familiar with that. I mean, help be our voluntary inspector out there with us.
Okay, that's good.
Once again, I really appreciate everybody coming out. We'll have the plans up here, and if you have any detailed questions, and please fill out the sign-in sheet. And again, if somebody's willing to help administer a Facebook page, we'd really appreciate that effort. Thank you.
You are going to give notice to all these people that aren't here on their door or something saying you got to move your car off the street?
Yes,
correct?
sir.
All right.
Absolutely.
Because that's the biggest problem right now I can see is there's so many cars parked on the street that nobody parks in their
Yes, we will.
garage.
Get plenty of notice. Thanks. You good, Drew?